Hey everyone, I'm Alan Thrall here at my track. Just bought it with my own money. Bought that high school over there too. Yep, gonna teach all these students how to deadlift. So I've been running lately. I'm still lifting weights just as much as I always have been, but I've incorporated running into my routine. And I just recently reached 300 miles on these pair of shoes, the Nike Pegasus. 300 total miles. I bought these shoes the end of last year, and 300 miles in that time frame is not a lot, but it's 300 more miles than I was running this time last year. And if you think about it, it's actually 11 and a half marathons that I've ran on these pair of shoes. So to celebrate this milestone, I'm going to be making 3 to 4 YouTube videos about running and lifting weights. And this first video is going to be just me talking, maybe a little more storytelling. I'm not going to be teaching a whole lot. It's more of just my story as to why I got into running. So why did I start running recently? What compelled me to go buy these shoes? Why did I start running 2 times a week? Now currently running 3 times a week. I don't know. I don't really have a great answer. I've been thinking about this. Why did I start running back in November last year? I don't really know. I think that I just got an itch to start running and I wanted to scratch it. I think that there was this little bit of realization that I considered myself very active. I would go to the gym all the time, spend a lot of time in the gym, but I knew that in the back of my mind, doing something as simple as running a mile would be very challenging for me. And I think I wanted to face that challenge head on, kind of a new challenge to see if I could improve that. And there was some curiosity to see if I could start running and still maintain my weightlifting routine. Because at least for the past 10 years, I've just told myself that you can't run and lift weights. If you want to be strong, you can't run. And I just kind of believed that and just told myself that without actually experimenting with it myself. So this could be more of a big experiment, I guess. So I actually do have a long history with running, believe it or not. Any level of fitness that I have right now, or I have had, any strength, any physical ability or physical capability, started from running. When I was a kid, I've got a lot of memories about running, but a few that stand out I'll talk about. When I was a kid in elementary school, I had to do a book report, and I did it on Walter Payton. Walter Payton's primary training was running hill sprints. At this time, I was getting ready to play Pee-wee football, and so I decided that, hey, maybe I need to start running hill sprints. And there was a hill behind my house. It was not a very steep hill, but I would go run up this hill in preparation for my Pee-wee football debut. And I'll never forget, on day 1 of Pee-wee football, we had to do a team warm-up, a group warm-up where we'd all run together, slow, just a jog warm-up around the big, huge practice field. And I didn't really know what a warm-up was. I just sprinted as fast as I could. For no other reason than that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And I left my team in the dust. They're all jogging together and I'm sprinting around this thing. And didn't even look back. And when I finished this lap, my coach, he kind of laughed, but he took me aside and told me what a warm-up was. And he was really impressed. And he said, man, you are really fast. Do you run a lot? I want you to be tailback on day 1. I didn't even know what tailback was, but I liked this recognition, and I liked kind of impressing him, I guess. Also during this time, I watched Rocky III. Rocky III was one of the most influential memories of my childhood. I'm not joking around, I'm not being silly, I know that sounds cheesy, I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm dead serious. Rocky III, I wouldn't say is life-changing because I was just a kid and it didn't change my life, but it definitely gave me direction and set my tone for training at a very young age. It motivated me to start training. And after watching that movie, I would watch it over and over and over. My brothers and I would watch it every day. We'd watch it, rewind it, and watch it again. And it motivated me to start training. And I think that from that point on, I've always in my life been motivated to train for something. And I think that it started with watching that movie. I would go on runs around the neighborhood. I would just go run around the town. Looking back on it, the loop that I would run was probably 2 to 3 miles, but I would just go run, sprint out from my house, and I'd run as fast as I can. I wouldn't pace myself. I wouldn't keep track of time. I didn't have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. Didn't even have a stopwatch. Didn't even know how far I was running. I would just run it as fast as I can. And I remember running it just purely off of motivation, and my legs would get dead tired, but I'd just keep pushing. I liked that feeling. And I would get DOMs after some of these runs at a young age, before middle school even. And I think that training like this at a young age was part of the reason why my legs were so developed in high school. So now I'm getting into middle school, and I remember another point in my life as far as running goes. We had this run in middle school called the Super Scenic. It was a lap around about around the school field. It was probably a half a mile long, and my PE teacher would have us do that as the workout, for PE class. A lot of people would just walk it, some would jog it. I would sprint it as fast as I can. And I remember when after I'd sprinted, this PE teacher would be amazed. He'd say, "Oh my goodness, you're so fast, kid. Are you a football player? You're gonna be a force to be reckoned with." And he would praise me for how fast I would run and the effort that I would put forth. He would actually say, "Hubba hubba, big country." No joke, he would actually say that. But again, I think that getting some some attention from this PE coach and some praise, I really fed off of that. And I liked being first on these Super Scenic runs, even though I was the only one racing. But I like this attention, I guess, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's because I'm a middle child, but I liked it. So now, as I went into high school, I met the high school varsity football coach. And at this point, I was playing football, and I knew I wanted to play high school football. When I met this coach, I wanted nothing more than to impress this guy. I wanted to play for his team. I wanted to win games for this guy. I wanted to score touchdowns for this guy. I wanted to impress him, and I wanted to play for this high school. And when I was in 8th grade going into high school, he offered a summer weight training program for the incoming freshmen. So I went and attended that, and that's where I started seriously lifting weights. I continued running as much as I could, and I started lifting weights. We would do squats, front squats, cleans, pull-ups, push-ups, bench press, jumps, throws, and sprints. Lots of sprints. We do hill sprints, we would do suicide sprints, we would do slower jogs. We would run and lift weights. And I think the reason I'm mentioning all this is because, one, my base was built on running, and two, at that time I didn't have the internet to tell me that what I was doing was wrong, to tell me that I shouldn't lift weights and run. If I wanted to get strong, I should stop running. And I didn't have the internet to tell me that this was wrong. So I kept doing it as hard as I could. And I would run, I'd lift weights, I'd play football, I did track and field. In my mind, all of this was just exercise, or all of this was just training. All it was me trying to strengthen my body and mind. After high school, I read a book that had a huge impact on me, and it really influenced me to start running even more. It was a book called Ultra Marathon Man: Confessions of an All-Night Runner. And I stopped lifting weights. I just ran exclusively. I ran 5 days a week. On the weekends, I'd run long runs, 15 to 20 miles, 8-minute to 9-minute mile pace. That's all I did was run. Then I got interested in the Marine Corps. I started gearing up for going to boot camp. I signed up, was going to boot camp, started doing more push-ups, pull-ups, and things like that, sit-ups. And I would run shorter runs for faster pace. When I got to boot camp, I got to showcase my running resume. And on the first initial strength test, when you get to boot camp, you have to do a 1.5 mile run. And out of the whole company of recruits, 6 platoons of like 60 to 65 recruits in each platoon. For this whole company, I tied for first with another recruit named Daniel Stokes. We raced to the end and we finished at the exact same time. 8 minutes and 20 seconds, 1.5 miles. And I think that this got me some attention also. And actually Daniel was put as the guide or the leader of the platoon, and then eventually I got to replace him and I was guide. So again, this is just running, kind of getting me some attention that I liked. And so I eventually went to School of Infantry, and I ran an 18-minute and 1 second 3-mile run on a course that was certainly longer than 3 miles, but we'll call it 3 miles. And that sergeant that was on the stopwatch must have hated me because he wouldn't give me an 18-minute flat, 18 minutes and 1 second. And so I continued running, I continued lifting weights. It wasn't until I started going to the computer lab and getting on the internet and learning about powerlifting and strongman. And I had met a guy who was doing 531 at the time. He was a power lifter, and he kind of told me about powerlifting. And at that point, when I started to learn what powerlifting and strongman was, I started competing in strongman, and all I wanted to do was lift weights, get as strong as I can, and gain as much body weight as I can. I knew that running wasn't gonna help that. So I just totally ditched running. And I don't regret doing that. I'm glad that everything happened the way that it did. But I think that's the point when I stopped running, and I only ran when I absolutely needed to in the Marine Corps. I didn't run for probably 11 years after that, other than the small bit that I needed to in the Marine Corps. And then, you know, when I got out of the Marine Corps, completely stopped running. Probably did 1 or 2 running events, but never as part of my own training. Here I am in 2022, and I'm running 3 days a week, and I'm lifting weights. It kind of came full circle. So I guess the next reason is, or the next question is, why am I continuing to run? Why do I enjoy running so much right now? I think that because it's new, it's something that I can improve upon and get a lot better at quickly. So I enjoy this new endeavor. Running is a nice change of pace from just lifting weights all the time. Even though I still lift weights, I'm actually lifting weights 5 sessions a week. So I'm still lifting as much, but I just enjoy running. It's a nice change of pace. I look forward to early morning runs. Running also makes me feel really accomplished. If I go run 3 miles or I go run 5 miles, it's really cool to look back and think, wow, man, I just covered all that ground on my own 2 feet in a decent amount of time. It didn't even take me as long as I thought it would. I get the same kind of proud, accomplished feeling as I do when someone does their first pull-up or they do a 2 times bodyweight deadlift for the first time. You feel capable, you feel accomplished, and I feel the same way when I go for a run. I've done a few races now. I did a 10K race, I did a 6-mile trail race, I did a 10.5-mile trail race, and especially after that 10.5-mile trail race, up and down these mountains, it's cool to look back and think, damn, I just covered all that ground on my own 2 feet, and I'm still here standing, and I'm gonna go do deadlifts tomorrow. I just feel empowered, really. I think another reason that a lot of people enjoy running, and it's the same reason I enjoy running, this might be a little bit poetic or touchy-feely, but I think that running is a good way to get unstuck. A lot of times people feel stuck in their everyday routine or just stuck in life. Maybe physically and literally stuck at your desk, stuck at your job, stuck in your everyday routine. You can put some shoes on, go outside, go run as far as you want, wherever you want, as fast as you want, or as slow as you want, and literally get yourself unstuck from everyday life. To me, it's just a lot more enjoyable and therapeutic than other forms of cardio, like a stationary bike or a rower. I'm just not crazy about those things. So running for me is really enjoyable. I've talked enough. We're at like 14 minutes. And so anyways, my next video that I'm gonna make is about running and lifting weights, and I have a lot to say about it. So stay tuned. I'm gonna make a few more videos after that also about running and lifting. Thanks for watching, and always remember, 10 on 10!